Welcome to today's episode of the Declutter Hub podcast, your channel for super easy, no-nonsense advice on how to declutter and organise your home. Please welcome your hosts, professional organisers Ingrid Jansen and Leslie Spellman.
Hello and welcome listeners to episode 132 of the Declutter Hub podcast. I'm Ingrid.
And I'm Leslie.
If you have clutter and want to sort it out, this is the show for you. Now in today's episode, can you hear me laughing already? My voice, can you hear me laughing? So in today's episode, Leslie and I are talking about what to do with half-worn clothes. Now, I'm a little bit afraid Leslie already, because you and I are not going to disagree on this. We've had this is the kind of an ongoing disagreement between us, isn't it? And I'm afraid you're going to get really feisty with me when we record. And I'm like, all right, I might have to cave in at the end.
You're making me feel terrible now, Ingrid, as if I'm going to kind of demand and win, as if it's an actual competition, as if it's a competition. I mean, anybody who's a member knows that we have had this debate many, many times already, haven't we, Ingrid? And I'm not going to tell you who normally wins, but that's all I'm saying. So, I know, so we're just going to laugh our way through this podcast, aren't we? So it's such an important, let's set the scene. Okay, so you are getting ready for bed at night, you have had your clothes on for the day, and I mean, some people do put the clothes away straight away at night, but most people don't, I think, or put them on the side or put them on a chair or something. And then a lot of people will do like a morning reset and put those things away. Yeah. Some people might put them on a hanger at night. Some people might put them away at night. I don't. I kind of leave them and I do my reset in the morning. But I will, during my morning reset, regardless of whether I've had those clothes on before, make an assessment. Are they ready to be washed and put in the laundry? Or are they ready to go back in the wardrobe where they truly belong? And this is where the debate is, because Ingrid, our lovely professional organizer here, puts hers over a banister. Ingrid,
Yes.
Speak for yourself. Tell all.
Yes. So when I get ready for bed in the evening, I put the clothes that I don't want to wear anymore the next day immediately in my laundry basket. And a pair of trousers or a jumper or a jacket or a jacket I would hang up. But a pair of trousers or a jumper or a top that I think, oh, I can wear that another time. I put over my banister because I might wear them the next day or 2 days after. So that's where I put it. So Leslie and I are actually aligned about a lot of things in the decluttering and organizing world. But when I told Leslie I put my clothes over a banister a while back, she nearly, honestly, like dropped to the floor and went, what do you mean you put them over the banister? And the whole thing kind of started from there. And we debate this on quite a regular basis. And we recently got a question, I believe, in a Facebook group about half-worn clothes. And you could, all the members go, kind of go, oh, here we go. So I think it was about time we do a podcast about this, because we, first of all, love debating this situation. But I think it's actually something that a lot of people struggle with. And it keeps coming up on a very regular basis, doesn't it, Leslie? Either in the Facebook group, on comments that we read, on our Instagram page, or, it just keeps coming up. What happens with these half-worn clothes? So I think it was about time, 132 episodes in, that we actually talked about something that we don't agree about.
You see, right. And so where I'm coming from is, how can you do, we are big advocates, aren't we, Ingrid, of doing a daily reset. Yeah. So in our daily reset, we tidy things away. We set our house back to the way that we would want it ideally. In my world, how can you do a reset without putting your clothes away and leave them over a banister?
You know what? I think it's just because My mom did it as well. She put her top over the banister in the evening when I was growing up, and I think it must have just stuck. I don't know. It's the same. I just don't have a lot of spare space in my house, and it just seemed like the logical place to put stuff. And my daughter puts it some little kind of little bits in her bedroom. So does my son. My husband hangs. I mean, just something over the banister. It just for me.
Well,
It
so
is.
hang on. This gets worse, right? So, are you telling me now that you've actually got multiple places in your home where you have unworn clothes? So your daughter's got one, your son's got one, Jon might put it somewhere different. So I've just got this vision of this mound of clothes everywhere in your. Now, let me first say, no judgment here, guys, because we're all here because we have clutter. But ideally, Ingrid should be practicing what she preaches. That's the point I'm making. Not judging any of our listeners for having a chaired robe, a floored robe, a banistered robe, a back of the door robe. But I am within my rights to judge my dear friend Ingrid for having a banistered robe.
Well, I don't want to have one pile with stuff where everybody's clothes are, because then you can never find anything again. There's just 2 or 3 pairs of trousers we're talking here, Leslie. We're not talking about this gigantic mound of stuff. It's just that I want to wear my jeans one day, and then my black trousers one day, and then I've got some nice other trousers that I wear the other day. But I'm not just I don't have like 26 pairs of clothes there.
Well, here's a hint. Put them back in your wardrobe and then you will find them.
I knew, you know what, listeners, I knew this was the podcast. I was absolutely going to be slaughtered by Leslie because I know how passionate she is about it. But then, excuse me, you put them on the floor when you take them off. You don't even hang them up. I mean, that would not happen in my world. How can you leave clothes on the floor? Yeah, I'm doing it in the next morning. No. Overnight, they're there on the floor where you sleep, next to where you're sleeping. There's like this lump of clothes. That will never happen in my house. Not stuff will be left on the floor. I just hang it neatly over a banister because I don't have a chair and I don't want a chair in my bedroom. So I use the banister. We don't have a very big house, so I don't have place for chairs and things like that, which is, I think, a good thing because I think a chair is a dangerous place. But that's a whole other conversation. I'm sure we're going to get back to it at some point in this podcast. But no, just random piles of clothes on the floor. No. So explain yourself.
Okay. Yeah, so she's trying to out me now. She's fighting back. This is what's happening. You're fighting back. Yeah, when I'm tired at night. I don't want to. And some of those things might go in the wash the next day. If it is something special, I will hang it up. So if it was a nice dress or something, I would hang it up. I wouldn't just throw it on the floor. But, you take your trousers off and you take your things that it's fine for them to just go on the floor at night, isn't it? No one's looking. And it's only what I had on that day. The point is, Ingrid, we have to deal with the clothes that we are taking off so that they don't mount up into a drobe of some kind.
Yeah.
And that's where my nervousness is. Right. Yeah. Okay, so let's stop fighting because we need to teach people things, don't we? So we vehemently disagree. That much we know. Why do people have an issue with putting things back in their wardrobe?
I think that there could be several reasons. I think the thing is that I think, first of all, there's a couple of things we have to take into consideration. I think it really depends on the kind of job you have. If you've got an office job where you might wear a suit jacket and a trouser and it needs to maybe go to the dry cleaners because it's maybe fancy things and you don't want to kind of put it in the wash with the dry cleaners, you want to wear that several times. But of course, if you've got a job like if I go to work with clients and I'm stuck in my head with cupboards and dust and things, that top needs to go in the laundry because it's been dirty, it's been in dust and everything. So I think things have changed a lot. I think people's jobs have changed a lot as well. So I think it really depends on what you do, what the clothes are. Now, I think, of course, in the past, and I'm talking a bit longer than Now we've got all kind of fancy washing machines and things like that. But in the past, people had to hand wash a lot of stuff or had all these kind of long-winded kind of ways to get clothes washed. So you would wear stuff longer because it was just much more of a hassle to get them all clean and dried. But nowadays, a lot of people go back to, why are we washing so much all the time so quickly? It's really bad for the environment to overwash clothes. It's not good for clothes to do washing. So, there's a lot of things going on to even consider before you go put it into your wardrobe. And on top of that, Leslie, a lot of wardrobes are bursting at the seams. So it's not easy to put stuff back in, right?
But that's a whole nother debate. That's
Yeah.
veering into a whole nother debate. So,
Yeah.
you know, if your wardrobe's got too many things in it, of course, that's a decluttering issue rather than a kind of resetting issue, which is what we're talking about here. Here we're talking about putting things back after you've worn them. I agree that so our jobs when we are working, you know, every day we go to a new client, we're not going to wear the same jeans that got dusty and t-shirt that we wore yesterday. Every day we're going to come home, we're going to put that in the wash and we're going to put something new on the following day. If you're a decorator, for example, or I'm thinking maybe a builder and your clothes will get dirty, but you may not replace them every day because that might not be worth it. You might be quite happy to put the same clothes on for a second or a third or a fourth day. So that's kind of different. So those kind of clothes, I completely agree with you. You're not going to go and put your decorators or your gardening clothes next to your dress that you're going to go out with on a Saturday night. That much I agree with you on that, Ingrid.
Yeah.
But that to me would need a sort of separate place. But for me, the question is, if it's good enough to go back on your body, so if it's clean enough to go back on your body for a second day or a third day or a fourth day, why is it not good enough to go back in your wardrobe?
I think for me, because I wear a lot of belts on my trousers. So I think because as you know, I do not have a very big wardrobe. And of course, when the trousers come from either the wash or the ironing, they're nice and kind of slim. But as soon as you put a belt around it, it kind of gets really bulky around the waist. And because I don't have a really big wardrobe, then I have to start squeezing stuff in. So it's mainly 2 or 3 pairs of trousers that go over the banister, while the rest, because I'm always kind of hot and sweaty and kind of running around. So the tops I normally only wear once because I wear things quite close to my armpits. So after one day, they need to just go into the wash. So it's not necessary. And a jacket I will hang up because I've got the kind of bit sturdier hangers for that. So then I've got the kind of place. But I think it's mainly due to the belt that I don't put them back. Well, now I think about it, because I'm taking your comments on board, Leslie, but I think it's because of the belt. I think that's why.
See, now you've taken me into another whole debate, which is, why don't you just take the belt out of your trousers when you're done with it on the day? Do you leave your belts in trousers? Because surely that's going to misshape the trousers, is it not?
Yeah, I leave them in. If I'm going to wear them tomorrow, I'm not going to take my belt out of my trousers, hang the belt to the side, and put the belt back on the same day.
Oh, I'm really doubting your ability to be a professional organizer. I really am, Ingrid. She's now leaving the belts in the trousers and too lazy to take them out and put them away. She's throwing her clothes over banisters. What's going on? I need to come and take action at your house. I need to come and have a look and assess what's going on and whether you're actually a valid professional organizer like you say you are. I hope you're not telling your clients this. We'll just leave it there. We'll just no. Yeah. We won't. No, we won't. No, we won't. I've got so many more things I need to say. It's interesting because you're not on your own. And so I know out there the listeners will be, I agree with Ingrid. I agree with, and somebody will be like, I agree with Leslie. And so the country, the world then is going to be completely split on what people do. But the most important thing, and the reason why we're having this debate, is that it's important. So the difference, and I will concede that I know that Ingrid is putting those things there for a couple of days with the knowledge that she's going to wear them again. and that she's going to put them back on. The danger with this is that those 2 days become 5 days, and those 2 items become 5 items or 10 items. And then all of a sudden this builds and builds and builds until you've got a completely overwhelming amount of clothes, which then becomes what we commonly know as a floor robe, a chair robe, or a new Declutter Hub thing, or Ingrid Johnson thing, called a bannster robe. And so that's the problem. So what Ingrid's doing is not inherently wrong. Of course it's not. And life gets in the way. And we all have our little quirks and things that we do and things that we've always done, things that we've learned along the way. I put my clothes on the floor at night because I can't be bothered. Ingrid can't be bothered to take her belt out of her trousers. The world is not going to end because of that. But the kinds of things that we're talking about and this buildup of clothing is what causes problems in the long term because it becomes overwhelming. Do we agree on that, Ingrid?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And you're right, indeed, exactly what you're saying, Leslie, because at my weekly reset, if I think, oh, that black trouser has been there then I'll probably at some point think, oh, I need to wear it now so it can then get another 1 or 2 wears and it can go in the wash, or, oh, that trouser now can indeed return. It's not like I never return any half-worn clothes. There will be an odd thing going back. But because I clock it, I keep an eye on it. It's something that, because I don't want to have a chair robe with 24 items of clothing where people have to dig through stuff the whole time. And I think the problem is that people then keep wearing the same kinds of stuff. And the danger with a chair robe is that then something clean gets put on top of it, and then it gets buried under something else, and then people don't know anymore if it's clean or if it's dirty, and then you get into a whole cycle of then having to wash stuff again, and it goes out of control. And I think that's why we're talking about this, because that's what we don't want to happen.
Yeah, it's really important to make sure that you've got a line of sight over what's laundry, what needs to be washed, and what's good enough to wear a second time, or indeed what's good enough to go back in the wardrobe. And so I'm of the mind, of course, that things are fine to go back in the wardrobe, even if you've worn them a few times. In fact, as you said before, environmentally, I would wear things many, many times. So if I was wearing a dress to go out on a weekend or something, I might wear that dress. I might never wash it. I might wear it 10 or 15 times and it might never get washed. Do you know what I mean? Depending on the style of the dress and, as you say, how close it is to your arms and all those kind of things. So some things don't need washing. They can just go back in the wardrobe because they're not dirty, because they're not, they're not in places that mean that you've got to wash them more regularly. So yeah, it just sort of depends. And so it depends on the item. But I think it's that control that's important, and that knowledge and that constant resetting that you say, so you're keeping a second eye on that on a weekend or whatever. So you're saying, these things can go back, or I'm going to definitely wear that this week. And of course, it's also very dependent on how many items of clothing you've got. And so if you've only got 4 or 5 pairs of trousers, for example, that you're alternating with regularity, then you are invariably going to come to those trousers more regularly than if you've got 30 or 40 pairs of trousers. And so that makes a difference as well. But the main message here is, number one, that I won the debate. That's the first message.
Dream on, Leslie, dream on. The listeners, we would love to hear your comments on this podcast. So on your podcast player, you can leave comments, or you can, on our website, on declutterhub.com, you can listen to the podcast. You can leave comments. Please tell me I'm not alone, and that there's people that are on my side too.
Yeah, there's many, many people on your side. I know there are. No, we'd really like, whenever we put it out there for debate, it's, when we do it in our membership, in the Q&A and so on. So yeah, come and join our Q&As. This is the kind of fun stuff that we talk about. We get questions in. Some poor person says, oh, what would you do with half-worn clothes, Ingrid and Leslie? 45 minutes later, Ingrid and I are having a fight. No, that's not true. But no. So our Q&As are, we go deep on things, don't we? Do deep dives on topics. And so it's not just how do you declutter a kitchen. It's very specific things like this that we talk about with regularity. And they're just as much fun as this one is. Now, to be fair, Ingrid, there are 95% of the things that we talk about in our Q&As we're completely aligned on, aren't we? But there's just an odd thing where we have a little debate. And this is one of them, isn't it?
Yeah. So if you would like to know more about the Q&As that Leslie and I do, come and check out our membership on members.declutterhub.com. And you can be at our live Q&As too. And we do them every 2 weeks, and they last just about over an hour and 15 minutes. And all our members can submit questions to us, and we answer their questions, and we love it, don't we, Leslie? We love it. It's one of our favorite parts of the membership that we do.
It definitely is. So I know that I said the real learning and the key message from this podcast was the fact that I'd won, but that is not the key message. The key message is that we need to keep control over the clothes that we take off at the end of a day, and we need to have a line of sight as to what's happening to them. Are they going in the laundry? Can they be put away? Are you intending to wear them again in a couple of days? And don't let those clothes build up to a completely unmanageable amount.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting what you're saying about kind of re-wearing stuff. I think it's really important that clothes get aired as well. So what I see a lot is that people do put stuff back on the hanger, but if you can just let it air out for a little while before you immediately put it back, that really helps as well with keeping the clothes stay fresh for longer. And I think at one point we all got so, obsessed with washing all the time. Clothes don't need to be washed after every wear. I mean, of course, socks and underwear do, but a trouser, you can wear multiple times before you throw it away in the wash. And I think a lot of people who have teenagers probably now go, yeah, tell that to my teenager who puts something on for half an hour and then puts it in the laundry basket and goes, right, it's dirty now. And it's like, okay, have you done have you looked at it? Have you done a test how it looks? And have you actually done a smell test? If it does not smell, if it smells fine, you can put it on your body again. Not a problem.
Yeah, we're not doing any sniff tests on any teenagers' clothes.
No.
They can do their own.
Yeah.
Basically the basic rule in our house. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah. So yes, Leslie, you're right. We are definitely not doing sniff tests on teenage boys or girls' clothing, because that's not a good thing to do. Anyway, listeners, we hope you've enjoyed this podcast and that we've made you laugh with our shenanigans. And you need to tell us who has won. Is it Leslie or is it me? But on the other hand, actually, maybe there shouldn't be a winner, but maybe we have brightened up your day with our crazy debate about have-worn clothes, and that you're going to take action. And maybe by listening to us talking about chair dropes and floor dropes and banister dropes, it has made you think yourself, like, what do we do here at my house? And do we actually chuck everything away after we've worn it for like half a day? Because if you're always struggling with laundry, maybe the first thing to do is now look at those habits and go, how does it work here at my house? Am I my own worst enemy by putting everything in the wash after I've worn it like 10 minutes? And do I constantly struggle with folding and with ironing? So we hope that this is helpful and that it's giving you a little giggle. So thanks so much for listening. And we appreciate you. We love you being here every week with us. So if you've enjoyed this podcast, don't forget to share it with other people. You can find the sharing buttons on the show notes page on our website. And of course, if you want to have more handy tips and advice from me and Leslie, don't forget to join our Facebook group, the Declutter Hub community with Leslie and Ingrid. We would love to see you there. And if you think to yourself, you know what, I've got wardrobes full of clothes. It is about time I'm going to tackle this. Come and check out our membership via members.declutterhub.com. We can take you through all the rooms in your house and help you get decluttered and organized. Now, if you don't want to miss the next podcast, do subscribe to the Declutter Hub podcast and it will pop into your notifications each Friday. So thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of the Declutter Hub podcast. Check out declutterhub.com for more inspiration, and don't forget to tune in next week.